Hello, hello. Today's math lesson, whoops, let's get back to the beginning here. Today's math lesson is on factors and multiples. Let's get started. First of all, let's start with factors. A factor is a number you can multiply together, or it should say factors are numbers you can multiply together to get another number. For example, 6 and 2 are both factors of 12 because 2 times 6 equals 12. All the factors of 12 are all the numbers you can multiply together to equal 12. So that means 1 times 12, or 1 and 12, are both factors of 12 because 1 times 12 equals 12. Also, 2 times 6. 2 and 6 are both factors of 12 because 2 times 6 equals 12. 3 and 4 are both factors of 12 because 3 times 4 equals 12. And those are all the factors of 12 because those are all the numbers you can multiply together to equal 12. So if we were going to write all the factors of 12 in order from least to greatest, it would look like this. 1, because 1 times 12 equals 12. 2, because 2 times 6 equals 12. 3, because 3 times 4 equals 12. 4, because 4 times 3 equals 12. 6, because 6 times 2 equals 12. And 12, because 12 times 1 equals 12. And those would be all the factors of 12. Okay? Let's see. Let's do another example. Let's find all the factors of 10. Remember, the factors of 10 are all the numbers you can multiply together in order to equal 10. So since 1 times 10 equals 10, that means 1 and 10 are both factors of 10. What else can you multiply together to equal 10? Well, 2 times 5 equals 10. So that means 2 and 5 are both factors of 10. Is there anything else you can multiply together to equal 10? Well, think about it. Is anything times 3 10? No. Is anything times 4 10? No. Is anything times 6 10? No. Is anything times 7 10? No. And once you get past half of 10, you know nothing times those numbers will equal 10. So the factors of 10 written in order from least to greatest are 1, because 1 times 10 equals 10. 2, because 2 times 5 equals 10. 5, because 5 times 2 equals 10. And 10, because 10 times 1 equals 10. And those are all the factors of 10. Now let's talk about prime and composite numbers. A prime number is any number that has only two factors, 1 and itself. For example, 7 is a prime number because the only two numbers you can multiply together to equal 7 are 1 times 7. So, since the only factors of 7 are 1 and 7, that means 7 is a prime number. 7 is prime. A prime number is the opposite of a composite number. A composite number is any number that has 3 or more factors. For example, 4 is composite. 4 is a composite number because 1 times 4 equals 4 and 2 times 2 equals 4. Since 4 has 3 factors, 1 because 1 times 4 is 4, 2 because 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 because 4 times 1 is 4. Since it has those 3 factors, 1, 2, and 4, it is composite. Okay, let's do a little more practice. Let's find the factors of 11 and 16. First, 11. Since we're finding factors of 11, that means we have to find all the numbers that can be multiplied together to equal 11. We know 1 times 11 equals 11. Now, we keep going. Is anything times 2 11? No. Is anything times 3 11? No. Is anything times 4 11? No. Is anything times 5 11? No. Is anything times 6 11? No, and there's no reason to go any farther because once you get past halfway, the halfway point, working your way towards the number, you know nothing times any of those numbers can equal the number you're finding factors for. So there's no reason actually to go past 5 if you're looking for factors of 11. Okay, now that means 1 and 11 are the only two factors of 11. So if we're going to write the factors of 11 in order, it would be 1 and 11. And what does that mean? That there's only two factors? It means 11 is prime. 11 is a prime number. Please excuse my bad handwriting. It's because I lost my tool that allows me to write really easily on the screen. So now I'm writing on the mouse pad of my laptop, and it makes it look like I can write about as well as a kindergartner. Okay, we just found the factors for 11. We found out there's only two of them, 1 and 11. Now we need to find the factors of 16. Now, to find the factors of 16, we need to list all the numbers that can be multiplied together to equal 16. We know 1 times 16 equals 16. We know 2 times 8 equals 16. Okay, now we keep going. Is anything times 3 16? No. Is anything times 4 16? Yes. 4 times 4 equals 16. Okay, is anything times 5 16? No. Is anything times 6 16? Nope. Is anything times 7 16? No. Is anything times 8 16? Yes. We already have that one. 8 times 2 is 16. And 8 is half of 16. It's halfway to 16. So there's no reason to go any farther. So listing the factors of 16 in order from least to greatest, it would be 1, because 1 times 16 is 16. 2, because 2 times 8 is 16. 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. 8, because 8 times 2 is 16. And 16, because 16 times 1 is 16. Now, there's more than two factors of 16. That means 16 is a composite number. Again, I apologize for my terrible handwriting. But 16 is a composite number. Why? Because it has more than two factors. Okay? Whoops. Okay, now we've talked about factors. Now let's talk about multiples. A multiple is the product of one number multiplied by another number. And that word product means the answer to a multiplication problem. When listing multiples of a number, all you have to do, multiples are really easy, all you have to do is just count by that number. For example, the multiples of 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 24. Notice we're just counting by 4s. 4 more than 4 more than 4 is 8. 4 more than 8 is 12. 4 more than 12 is 16. 4 more than 20, 4 more than 16 is 20. 4 more than 20 is 24, and so on. Notice something. We could keep going. That's because, unlike factors, multiples go on forever. It's never possible to list all the multiples of a number because you can always count by that number one more time, which means you can always go higher because multiples go on forever. Okay, let's practice. Let's list the first 6 multiples of 3. Now notice it doesn't say let's list all the multiples of 3 because that would be impossible. Multiples go on forever. We're just going to list the first 6 multiples of 3. And in order to do that, all we have to do is count by 3s. So we start with 3. 3 is a multiple of 3. Notice 3 is both a multiple and a factor. The number itself is always a multiple and a factor of that number. Because 3 is a multiple of 3, since if you're counting by 3s, you start with 3. 3 is also a factor of 3 because 1 times 3 is 3. So we start with 3, then we go to 6 because 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, then 3 times 3 is 9. We're just counting by threes. Okay, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. And 3 times 6 is 18. And we've just listed the first 6 multiples of 3, and notice all we did was just count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Every time we just went 3 more than the previous number, because when you're listing multiples, all you have to do is count by the number. Okay, let's do some more practice, this time with factors and multiples. It says list all the factors and the first 5 multiples of 8. Let's start by listing the factors. Whoops. Start by listing the factors. So we're just going to put an F there to show that we're listing factors. So we're going to list the factors of 8. Now remember, if we're listing factors of 8, that means we're listing all the numbers that can be multiplied together to equal 8. So 1 times 8 equals 8. So 1 and 8 are both factors of 8. 2 times 4 equal 8. 2 times 4 equals 8. So 2 and 4 are both factors of 8. Is there anything else that can be multiplied together to equal 8? Well, you know there's not, since 4 is already half of 8, and once you get to the number that's half of the number you are listing factors for, there's no reason to go any farther. Sorry, my phone just rang. So now if we're going to list the factors of 8 in order from smallest to biggest, it would be 1, because 1 times 8 is 8. 2, because 2 times 4 is 8. 4, because 4 times 2 is 8. And 8, because 8 times 1 is 8. Okay? We've just listed the factors. Now we're going to list the multiples of 8. And all we have to do is count by 8s. So we start with 8. 8 times 1 is 8. Then we go 8 more than that. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay? 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. And 8 times 5 is 40. We've just listed the first 5 multiples of 8. And why does it say just the first 5 multiples instead of all the multiples? Because you can't list all the multiples. It's impossible. Multiples go on forever. Okay, and that is the end of today's lesson on factors and multiples. I have told you what factors and multiples are, and I have given you examples to help you know how to find both the factors and multiples of numbers. And I have taught you what the difference is between prime numbers and composite numbers. Prime numbers are numbers with only 2 factors, and composite numbers are numbers that have 3 or more factors. All right, that is today's lesson. Make sure you click on the guided practice video and do your best on both the guided practice and the independent practice portions of the worksheet. All right, I will see you guys next time. Signing off.